Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. Welcome back to the Tactical Insight Show. It's been away for 5-6 weeks, but we have returned. Arsenal returned to Premier League action with an absolute bang, beating West Ham 3-1 after coming from behind. And I've got no doubt we're very excited to break this down. We've been doing the prep, we're ready to discuss a lot of elements. But first, let me welcome you back, Graham. It's been a while, but it's great to see you.
Thanks, mate. It's been about 45 days, actually. So Merry Christmas to you. I see the Don's got you working over Christmas.
I mean, well, of course. I mean, why not? The football doesn't stop, so no, neither do we. But
Merry Christmas to everybody on AFTV. Thanks very much for all those people who sent direct messages into my Twitter and to my Instagram, because I had my birthday on Christmas Day. I really appreciate the love I had and the
Happy birthday,
messages. Yeah, so it was my birthday on Christmas Day. Quiet Christmas Day this year. A lot's happened since I last see you. We actually had a World Cup won by Argentina. Do you want the 3 key takeaways from the World Cup, mate?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, we of course haven't spoken about the World Cup, so go on, give me your 3 key takeaways.
The 3 key takeaways are now it's 4 World Cups since Tottenham won a trophy. 8 World Cups since they won an FA Cup, and 16 World Cups since they won a league title.
There you go. Have you missed them? Have you missed the Tottenham jokes? Having just dropped points to Brentford, I think they're absolutely fit.
Yeah, and the thing is also it's Christmas, so what do you like on your Christmas number ones?
What, music?
Yeah.
Not good. Bad. Why?
What do you think was the last Christmas number one, the last time they won a trophy?
Oh, what, Tottenham?
Yeah.
What, so 2007?
2008.
2008. Christmas number 1. Oh, do you know what? Actually, no, you hinted at this earlier. You said X Factor winner, didn't you? Was it, I don't know, Alexandra Burke or something,
yeah.
Was it?
Spot on, mate, Alexander Burke.
There we go. I know something.
Last time they won an FA Cup, it was Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, the reissue, I think.
Oh, wow.
And the last time they won a league title was Moon River, sung by Danny Williams, the song from Audrey Hepburn's Breakfast at Tiffany's. But
there we go.
Yeah, so anyway, look, great to be back, 45 days, and it's great to be back with an Arsenal win, mate.
It really, really is.
It's almost like we haven't gone away.
And actually, a lot of the weekend's action felt that way to me. You know, when I watched a lot of the games, had they occurred, that week of, straight after we beat Wolves, and the Premier League just resumed without a World Cup, and you asked me to predict what would happen, I've said, well, Newcastle are flying, they'll probably smash Leicester, even though Leicester were having a bit of a resurgence. Tottenham, well, they're going to play terribly and find a fight back somehow, and that's exactly what they did, but thankfully still dropped points. Liverpool, I think, was showing a bit of a resurgence, and that came through, and Arsenal just played some scintillating stuff as they did going into the World Cup. So actually, while we're still going to see the long-term effects of the World Cup throughout the rest of the season, in the short term, clubs went straight back into the kind of form they were, which I found very interesting.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were predicting that Arsenal maybe might slip up in this game, because we went into this game with the Gabriel Jesus injury in the World Cup. And we're going to talk about Eddie's performance when he came in last night. And obviously Zinchenko wasn't quite fit also. So there was changes. Arsenal went into that game. This was a game that was obviously, you don't know when you have a break. We've never been in this position before when it's been like a mid-season break of about 6 weeks, how teams are going to respond to that break. Me personally, I think we play too much football in England, and I noticed the Bundesliga, for example, hasn't restarted yet, and it doesn't restart for a significant amount of time longer, I believe. But we're straight back into it, and Arsenal went straight back into it, playing the kind of football that we've been used to in the first 14 league games. Yeah,
they're fantastic. And where do we start? As always, with the match stats. We've got them here on screen. Everyone on, Brennan and the team. Now I'm very excited about this because we can annotate a little bit more. We can have a little bit more fun.
Is this your Christmas present, mate?
This is my Christmas present from Robbie. The ability to evolve this show. So here we go. The usual 67% possession was good. I'll let you take it away with the rest of the
fantastic.
stats.
I think the stats here show that we dominated the game. We had 2/3 of possession. We had double the shots. Only one more on target. We completed significantly more passes, over 50% more passes than them, and the XG, the expected goals for us, was 2.06 to their 104, and most of that was created by their penalty.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And let's go to some of the more detailed stats as well. We have the attacking stats here as always. Take it away.
Well, this just shows the domination from Arsenal. Look at the field tilt, for example. That's 78% of the game was around the West Ham defence, in the defensive third. We had double the final third entries, over 3 times the deep touches. And look at that, zone 14 touches, 35-1. Zone 14 touches, the middle part just outside the penalty box. So they created nothing really centrally, and we were peppering the middle central area as much as we were peppering the wider area. So we had 35 zone 14 touches to their 1.
Yeah, we absolutely did. And when you're playing that ball into that zone 14 area, you're really asking questions because, you know, it's such a dangerous area. You want to block shots. You want to be, you know, it can cause a degree of panic. On the defensive side of things, we were absolutely fantastic as well.
Yeah, and I think the key stat here, obviously, is the passes per defensive action. I really want to focus on this today because I know I want to talk about this piece in my analytical piece, and that is the fact that not only are we good on the ball, the way we are moving the ball around so well, the team's so well structured, the way it moves the ball around on the pitch, James. I think we have to recognise just how good that we are now off the ball.
Yeah.
You know, this is mad numbers for me. Something like we're only 7.3 passes per defensive action before we engage, to their 18.1 till they engage with us. And I think I'm going to talk a lot today about the Martin Odegaard performance, the man of the match performance, and everyone talks about how silky he is on the ball, how good he is on the ball, but his work rate off the ball in that central area is absolutely unbelievable, and his performance, and also other players like I think Saka's work rate yesterday off the ball was excellent, and this is why we're getting these sort of numbers now. It was fitting last night. Arsene Wenger was in the stadium, first time back for 4 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was invited back by Mikel, and he would have seen how the game's evolved now. I mean, the beautiful football we played, we always played under Wenger, but we weren't quite so good off the ball. Albeit the Invincibles, you could argue, were, but generally his teams were not well renowned and known for being great off the ball. Arteta has instilled that into his team. It's all the way football's being played now. You've got to be good on the ball and off the ball, and it's reflected in those numbers. Yeah,
I mean, 7.3 passes per defensive action. I was listening to Nicky from West Ham Fan TV. Go check out his fan cam, which was actually on AFTV, where he gave his thoughts, and he talked about how they just couldn't handle the press. You know, Arsenal were all over them. They were suffocating West Ham.
And Declan Rice talked about last night also, James, that they smothered us all over the pitch.
Well, there you go.
And we did press really well off the ball, we have to say that, and it led, as we're going to talk about, to 2 of our goals.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And with that first goal, in fact, before we go into the first goal, and because I actually thought Arsenal had a good first half, and I'll go into a little bit more what I mean by that in a second, but there was, of course, the penalty incident. Your thoughts on it? I didn't think Saliba looked at his absolute best yesterday, if I'm honest. I think you could see that it was his first competitive game in a long time, or at least certainly the first one that mattered. Even his 27 minutes for France, you knew they were through. So I think the first time since he kicked a ball at Molineux that actually there's been a degree of pressure on him. And I think he just kind of got it a little bit wrong with there's a bit of a lunge, and I don't think he ever really liked getting to it first. But maybe there are other areas where it kind of went wrong with the penalty.
Yeah, I think obviously he's covering there for Gabriel. I think Gabriel wasn't in position, and I don't think we would have conceded that goal. I think pre-World Cup, obviously get players coming back and getting used to things again defensively. Sure. I think that was a point I'd like to make on that. I think had he holds his ground and Partey engages with Antonio, I think that maybe that might not have happened. But obviously Gabriel is out of his hole, so to speak, in the defensive line, and Saliba's trying to cover ground. It is a bit of a lunge. He does catch him. My first thought was impact enough for him to go down? But having looked at it back, I agree it was a penalty. I think there is a debate to be had there that maybe you might want to touch on in your 5 Live shows. And not you're on 5 Live radio station. I mean, when you do your 5 p.m. live shows on AFTV, about what contact in the box now constitutes a penalty, because I thought he stayed on his feet initially, and then he went down. And I'm not saying he went over illegitimately. He generally was clipped, and he was trying to hold his footing, and he went over. So it was a penalty for me. I thought in that first half, the 3 key decisions all went against us, but rightly so. The referee got it all right. He got the goal that we had chalked off, which was a really slick move actually, which Nketiah played in Saka. He did touch the back of his heels when Nketiah was in an offside position, so he got that right on the VAR. We criticised VAR a lot, me and you, but VAR proved correct in 2 of the big calls last night. Yeah. And also on the Arsenal penalty, when Oliver gave a penalty, it clearly hit his head, not his hand. Yeah. So they got, we were on the wrong end of them, but rightly so. They were, the officials got the decisions right.
I agree. I thought the officials were good yesterday and got those key decisions right. And at half time, I was looking at those 3 big ones and thought, it's frustrating, it's fine margins, but they did ultimately go in the right direction. You want to talk about this man here, Declan Rice, and his kind of involvement in some of the goals. Let's just firstly just remind ourselves of what his average positions look like. And here I am frantically searching for the graphic. There it is. These are the West Ham average positions from left back to right back, and Antonio leading the line. And there's Antonio. There's Declan Rice.
Yeah, I want to talk about Declan Rice. I think he's a fantastic player, and I thought that he's key. Everything about West Ham goes through him. I thought last night West Ham were really good in the first half due to Declan Rice's defensive ability, and I thought what he was doing really well in the first half when we were trying to build up on our right hand side with the combinations between Odegaard, White, and Saka. He was defending deeper. He was defending between Kerr and Cresswell. So he was offering almost like, if you look at their back line, Kufel, Dawson. I thought Dawson might be the weak link we target because he hasn't got a lot of pace. And I think teams have had joy against West Ham down their right-hand side this season. But we were targeting their left-hand side a lot because our right-hand side is very strong with White, those combinations with Odegaard on that side, drifting into the number 8 position. But I thought Rice was doing a really good role in the first half, James, of actually getting back here and defending this space between their left-sided centre-back and their left-back. So every time we got into a good position, he snuffed it out, and he made 1 or 2 really crucial blocks in that first half. And I thought that we were good in the first half, but not creating, because I thought Rice did really well defensively in the first half and kept us out. I thought his defensive work in the first half was really good, sitting deep. But I think that changed in the second half, as you're going to flick onto it now.
Yeah, so let's have a little look at that, the sort of positioning of Declan Rice. We've got him here now. Talk to us about how it changed and how it helped us.
We've got us here in our basic 3-2-5 build-up. You just see Gabriel on the left-hand side, Saliba and White slightly more forward, actually, James.
Yeah.
You're just moving forward there for me.
There you go.
He's more here. So it's more like a 2-3-5, I thought.
Sure.
And there's our 5 lanes up high with Martinelli on the left, Xhaka in the half space, Eddie Nketiah, Odegaard and Saka. Now, Rice, I thought in that first 15 minutes of the second half, West Ham had 1 attack at the start of the second half where Antonio got in, had a shot, which was well saved by Ramsdale. I think that encouraged him slightly, although you could argue Moyes had him sitting really deep last night for most of the game. It did encourage, I thought, Rice to come forward a bit more in that first 15 minutes. And I think it had an impact on the game. I'm not blaming Declan Rice from a West Ham point of view because he's such a good footballer, but he lost the ball twice in these areas when he was moving forward. The first time, Thomas Partey robbed him, and that led to the ball going to Odegaard and the shot with Saka coming in here. And then the second time was when Saka came out and tackled him there and fed the ball, and we work it across to our other side to Martinelli, who gets the shot. So I thought that was a key part of the game. At first, we scored 3 goals in 16 minutes at the start of the second half, or in a 16-minute period early in the second half. And it started, I think, when Declan Rice. It just shows how hard this team works off the ball. Arsenal, Partey and Saka winning the ball back, getting transitions, and then with Rice out of the picture. Although Rice was trying to get back, I know, for the first goal, but he wasn't here covering in this gap, and that was crucial because as Odegaard takes that speculative shot, it flies into the gap to Saka, where he might have been covering in the first half.
Yeah, I really wanted to do a little bit looking at that first and second half, because I was listening to TalkSport, the radio. They're saying, Arsenal scintillating the second half. Some people calling it a game of 2 halves. Some people saying, Arteta must have really got stuck into the team. And it's not that I don't think our level went up in the second half. I do. But I don't think the first half was as bad as people were saying. Now, I guess the best way to show it is, first of all, let's have a little look at what I think we were doing a lot in the first half. Now, we've got the 3-2-5 and Tierney trying to replicate that Zinchenko role, that, forming, part of the base of Partey, you play through them. But what we're also seeing a lot of, and I want to ask the question to the audience and to you why this might have been, what I also felt we were seeing a lot of, if I just step in here, we're seeing Tierney also hold width, Xhaka come a bit closer to Partey, and Martinelli come very central if he wants to move. There he does. There we go. Now, we saw this shape a lot as well. Now, I think, first of all, why? I think because Tierney's a very good, kind of overlapper, crosser of the football, can beat his fullback, very old school in that sense, and I think that was something that Arteta wanted to see a lot of. I think Martinelli, we know that there's potential future for him as a number 9. He's very good with his back to goal, so picking up the ball in these half spaces he's capable of doing. And Xhaka has plenty of times covered in central midfield, dropping into left, more defensive positions and all that. So those aren't strange positions to see those players in, but they're alternating a lot. We were seeing Tierney wide, Xhaka drop deep, Martinelli come central, popping out wide, interchanging with Nketiah. Now let me say the good. The good is that that's brilliant. We're keeping the opposition constantly thinking. And I highlighted in one of the In Focus videos we did that actually Zinchenko, as much as he comes forward, in that second goal at Wolves, he overlaps and that creates a second goal. So you want constant interchanging fluidity. You want Bowen and Kufal to go, well, hold on, Martinelli was there, but now he's coming inside. I know what we're doing. Xhaka, well, he's a box-to-box runner, then he's a deep line playmaker. What's going on? And that is fantastic. However, I did feel that one thing we'd lost was this fear factor we get when, if we move Xhaka forward, Martinelli is running at the fullback. That's sort of like, you know, the ball goes wide and he pins them down and it's like, oh no, he is running at me. And I think we lost that little bit of fear factor and that little bit of like, you know, when Saka and Martinelli are closing in on the fullbacks and they're narrowing the pitch and the fullbacks are just dropping and dropping and dropping and they cause havoc. And I think we see that in the second goal, which I'm going to show it here, Martinelli goal. Now, if we just play this through once, what we've got here is a much more of the front 5, the way we've been used to seeing it this season. Of course, Nketiah for Jesus, but rather than Xhaka being deeper, Tierney holding the width here and Martinelli coming central, it was much more what we've been used to seeing this season. And when the ball comes to Odegaard, it's a lovely touch from Xhaka, opens it up, and then Martinelli, touch onto his left, hits it immediately. We were, not only did we create that sort of one-on-one with Martinelli and Kufal, which I loved, but we suddenly had that fear factor about us. And in that first half, I think we lacked that a little bit, but we also lacked decisiveness. I felt we lacked that making a quick decision immediately. There were passes that were just going astray. There was a little bit of poor decision making in the final third. We looked a little bit like we were maybe overplaying it at times, and Arsenal just did things a little bit quicker when they entered the penalty area. And I think these graphics, or this graphic, and these numbers tell you the story, because suddenly you've got pass completion went up from 88% in the first half to 91% in the second half for Arsenal. Take on completion went up from 20% to 40%. Our pass completion into the penalty area went up from 45 to 71%. Our attacking third passes went from 79% to 78%, so a little drop of 1%, but not a lot in it there. Chances created from 6 to 7, and big chances from 0 to 2. But the big one is, I think, the pass completion and the take on completion. And that Martinelli touch in the goal, I think, just tells you how much quicker the decision making was when it came to from Xhaka to Martinelli. It's touch onto his left, shoot. I don't think he really. I'm the odd one out. I don't think he meant. I think he just thought, let me just hit this and see if it goes into that corridor of uncertainty, the word you like to use, and it, you know, it went towards goal. But the fact we did it so quickly kept West Ham off guard and meant we got the second goal, and ultimately they couldn't live with us in the second half.
And I think sometimes what it needs actually is just that. This is only the third time I knew we've been behind in a Premier League game this season.
Yeah.
Sometimes it needs Mikel Arteta at half-time just to re-emphasise what this team is good at and what we need to do better.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were playing really well in the first half, but just as you said, probably not playing quick enough and probably slightly down on the numbers that we're used to, that they sort of like picked up on in the second half. I thought first half we were building up more James and a diamond at times, you know, Party at the base. I think Eddie was dropping into almost like the top of a diamond with Odegaard and Xhaka either side, and then like Martinelli and Saka were like the two forwards making runs, right, trying to make runs in behind. But I thought a few times Eddie had the ball, and I thought he might have been able to sort of like, if Gabriel Jesus had been in that position, he would have sort of like been able to turn and run with the ball, and maybe sort of like brought players out of position to play players in. A couple of times Eddie sort of like in that first half maybe a little bit indecisive. I thought his performance, I have to say, and we're going to talk about how good he was in this video, I thought he was excellent last night. I'm not criticising him anyway. I'm so pleased he scored his goal as well. In that first half, a couple of times he was a little bit indecisive, and also when he had chances to turn, he didn't take them because he was dropping into that hole that Jesus drops into. But I think that'll come, and I think his performance last night was pretty good. But I agree with you. I think it just needed Arteta just to reset the team at half-time, re-emphasise what we're good at, and that was shown in the higher numbers. Passes into the penalty area, attacking, and in take-on completions, where we improved in that second half.
Yeah, completely agreed. Let's talk about some of the individual players, because there were some stand-up performances. Martin Odegaard was one we chatted about very briefly, but I think we've got to give him the absolute credit he deserves. This is our fancy new graphic that I love, although you'll see it on your screen, but on here on the tactical pad it's slightly covered. But we've got his pass completion of 93%, no goals but 2 assists, and again some really fascinating stats there from his game and from the season as well. He was brilliant.
I think the stat I want to touch on is ball recoveries. 7, because no matter we know how good he is. When teams sit in low blocks, how good he is at sort of like breaking a low block. How good he is at silky on the ball. The way he drifts across the area, he finds just the right pass.
Yeah,
he's like our director, our orchestrator when he gets on that ball, coming deep to receive it, or in his number 8 roll up high on the right. He drifts across to the left, of course. Everything goes through him. But just look at his work rate off the ball. 7 ball recoveries. And I just think that shows how hard he works off the ball. And I think Arteta talked about that last night. Not only is he great on the ball, giving us good moments on the ball, he's great off the ball. Perfect set of numbers. He's still our leading goal scorer with 6, of course, this season. And 2 assists last night.
Yeah, 2 assists.
One slightly lucky.
Yes, one's very lucky, but that's fine because he earned his luck. And Laurie, in all credit to him, was saying on the half-time section of the watch-along, he was saying, well, look, if we just shoot more and ask more questions, you never know. And I think that goes back to the decisiveness that we were talking about just a couple of minutes ago. Someone tweeted, if it were you, put it in the comments. And if someone sends me the tweet on Twitter, I'm always on Twitter, I'll make sure to highlight it. But they said something, I think the words were something like, Martin Odegaard, the minute you start to see him as a number 8, you start to just appreciate him in a completely different way. And it took me a second, I thought, I know exactly what they mean. If you see him as a 10 and as an Ozil type, we've still got the numbers, goals, assists, fine. But when you realise actually we're playing a midfield 3 and he's on the right doing one side of that and Xhaka's on the left doing the other side of it, and you compare him more to a Thiago or a Kovacic or someone like that, you start to realise, wow, he's influencing the game way more than any of these guys. And there's a reason he's a captain and he's at the heart of a team that's top of the league with 13 wins, a draw and a defeat in 15. As a number 8 who's just pulling it all together. And I hadn't really thought of it. While I knew he was wearing the number 8, playing in the number 8, I still always in my mind judged him as more of a 10. But now I'm sort of reappreciating quite how much he stitches everything together.
I wasn't at the game last night, as you know. But the best midfield performance I've seen at the Emirates since I've been going in the Emirates era is Mesut Ozil against Leicester.
I was at that game as
City,
well, yeah.
when he absolutely was on a different level. We beat them 3-1. There was a couple of people that tweeted out this morning, I wish I could give them credit because I can't remember their names, but they actually put that Martin Odegaard performance above Mesut Ozil's last night. And I must admit, I only watched it on telly, but I can see why.
Right.
He was absolutely perfect in every sense. He was the best player on the pitch by a country mile. And I just think at the moment his game's on another level. And Real Madrid sold him. Remember, they sold us this guy for under £30 million. When you think of the crazy money that's going for players now, we got him last year for under 30 million. I've got to admit, I can remember last year having a debate, I think, with my son Cameron. I was saying I wanted Maddison. And he was saying, no, Odegaard. He used to improve, right, my son. And I think that was a fantastic performance last night. And he's our leader on the pitch. He's in everything he does.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we can't, of course, not talk about Eddie Nketiah. I am so happy. Anyone who saw the goal reactions, here on AFTV knows how crazy I went when he got that third goal, because I feel like Eddie I feel like he has to play an 8 out of 10 game to be recognised by some as having a 6 out of 10 game. I feel like he has to do more. And it's people close to me who I talk to. It's people, sometimes. And I've always said that you cannot rate Eddie Nketiah. That is fine. That is absolutely fine. Do I personally believe that he is the answer to lead us to the title? I'm still to be convinced. But I don't understand the whole other side, which is that some people feeling he's useless, he's this, he's that. I've always felt, especially in the last 6, 7, 8 months that he's given a lot to this team actually when he's been called upon. He's had some sub appearances that he could be proud of, blah blah. And now he's getting his opportunity. I think he showed in that game, and he showed it in others, but maybe people starting to realise with that goal that he's not just a poacher. He's not just, well, I know where to stand and put it in the back of the net. He can make things happen for himself. And there are a few moments that nearly came off for him in the first half, didn't quite, but a few nearly moments where he's beating his man, some nice touches here and there. Got it wrong at the end, but you could see he was looking sharp, and then his goal was sublime. And I'm so glad he scored that exact type of goal, that sharpness, turn, bit of strength, bit of creativity, bit of skill, and a brilliant finish. I couldn't be happier for him.
The way he rolled his man actually last night was top class.
Yeah,
he felt where he was, and then he able to twist him to get the shot away, and he buried it right in the corner. Like you, I was so pleased he scored.
Yeah,
I think that lifts a burden off his back now, because he must have felt the pressure. He said last night in his post-match that obviously playing for Arsenal is always pressure.
Of course.
But he must have felt extra pressure because of Gabriel Jesus, what people were saying. It's always nice to get that goal. But when he started at the Emirates, he's got a fantastic record. I think he scored something like 11 goals in 11 games in all competitions at the Emirates. His goal scoring record is reasonably, pretty strong, isn't it? So, and I thought last night, second half, he grew into the game even more as we got better, and I'm so pleased for him that he scored his goal, and I hope now that he goes on, to be the player that we know he can be. I think he's a very undervalued player by a lot of people, and I saw tweets at half time that were a bit disrespectful. The team were losing, but it was like because Eddie was in the team, which I thought was so disrespectful, as I say. And I'm so pleased for him to get his goal, and a really good performance. His numbers are good there, as you say.
92% pass completion, got the goal, no assists, but he was involved in all areas of play. 37 touches, 2 shots blocked.
And also working hard off the ball there. 3 recoveries, ball recoveries, 4 shots and a tackle. 3, So I would say overall this was a top performance. And he got his goal. So what more could you want?
Super happy for him. Now, our form at the Emirates isn't a shock. This is actually something that Arsenal have been doing, well, really since the back end of last season, but now we've got our home results from this season. 4-2 win against Leicester. Started off with the 4 goals there against Fulham and Villa. At times playing brilliantly in those games, but, not getting the 3s, 4s and 5s. But since then, been pretty convincing at home, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's 21 points out of 21. 7 wins this year, 22 goals, 8 conceded. That was our 10th consecutive home win, top flight home win in the league. So, and I think that equals a record. I thought I read this morning.
Okay, yeah.
The Fulham game, I thought early in the season was the first signs where the team answered a few doubters, where they were behind in the second half when Mitrovic scored, and they came back to win 2-1. The same as they were behind last night, and they came back to win. But generally, our home form has been really good. We have to say that the Emirates crowd play a massive part in that there. The absolute atmosphere at these games when I've been has been absolutely unbelievable. And everyone's now buying into it. And I think, we've got the next home game is Newcastle. It's going to be a tough game. But and we've got some tough games coming up, we have to say, in January. But the home results, if you've got a home record like this, 100% home record at the moment, that is almost like title winning form.
Yeah,
really not that we want to say title winning, do we? We don't want to jinx it or at all. But what I'm saying is that title winning form, 7 straight wins at home, and this is Arsenal's best ever start to any league season. And I've been around for 61 years now, so I should know, shouldn't I?
I mean, it's a phenomenal start, as we mentioned. 13 wins, just the 1 draw, just the 1 defeat. Arsenal playing some scintillating football. Then we're going to leave it there. We'll go through the roundup stats, Graham. We missed these. Go on. Let's round the show off as we always do.
Is this the last roundup stats of the year? I think, is it? I think we got Brighton.
Yeah, we'll be of the calendar.
So here we are, James, roundup stats. Arsenal have now come from behind to beat West Ham 8 times in the Premier League, more than any other opponent.
Wow.
Arsenal have won 10 consecutive Premier League home games for the first time since April 2019. Well, this is the first time they have done so while scoring 2+ goals each time since November 2017. Arsenal are the first team in Premier League this season to have 4 players, Saka, Odegaard, Jesus and Martinelli, with 5 goals. Obviously, Odegaard, I think, leads the quartet there with 6. Martinelli's goal was the 100th Arsenal goal v West Ham in Premier League history, our 100th goal v West Ham. Bukayo Saka scored on Boxing Day for the 3rd year running, equals the record initially set by Thierry Henry in 2002, 2003 and 2004. Eddie Nketiah has now scored 6 goals in his last 9 Premier League appearances and 11 in all competitions at the Emirates. And finally, Arsene Wenger returned to the Emirates for the first time since 2018 to see a performance which Arteta said he deserved. I just want to make this final point as we're talking about Eddie. It was fitting in many ways that Wenger was there to see Nketiah score Arsenal's 3rd goal. It was 5 years ago, September 2017, that he actually gave Nketiah his debut at 18 years old in a Europa League tie at Bate Borisov. And a month later, he gave him his home debut in the Carabao Cup when he came off the bench to score twice against Norwich. And I will add one final thing to this. Yesterday's game was the 3rd anniversary of Arteta's first game in charge of Arsenal in the league at Bournemouth when we drew 1-1, I believe. Yeah. Only 2 players have remained from that 11 that drew at Bournemouth. Can you name the 2?
Bukayo Saka and Granit Xhaka.
Spot on, mate.
There we go. Wow, what a way to round off the show. And listen, I love it when things line up like that. 3 years since this, 5 years since that. I don't know. Meant to be sometimes. Yeah, if you believe in that kind of thing. I do. Listen, Arsenal went and beat West Ham 3-1. They came from behind. They did it not just, conceding a goal and then struggling to break down a deep block for the rest of the game, but finding a way through grit. They had their bit of adversity, their kind of their moment of doubt. Okay, no Jesus, a goal down. Is this where it all comes off post World Cup? And they answered it in absolute style. So massive well done to Arsenal. Well done to Mikel Arteta. Great to see Arsene Wenger back, and great to see Arsenal, the Arsenal fans, and everyone picking up with that momentum. Of course, maybe the Mudryk news. We know bids are going in. Maybe that's a player we'll be talking about soon on this show. And listen, the transfer window will dominate a lot of stuff. But for us here on Tactical Insight, it will be Brighton that we will be looking at next. Probably early in the new year. I can't imagine it will be straight after the game, as we'll all be celebrating a Happy New Year. But a Happy New Year to you, Graham. Happy New Year to everyone as well, if I don't see you before then. And yeah, come on, Arsenal. Let's go. Let's build on this. What a return. We've all missed you. It's great to have you back, Arsenal.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.